Well, good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m. Thanks for starting your morning with us here on Daybreak as we continue to stream through 9:30 this morning. And I love being able to join you up on the roof, and Patrick also when he's here, Lauren, because it's just on days like this is when I love being up on the roof. It's absolutely beautiful right now.
It is so gorgeous out right now. I mean, I had a bit of a break between my last weather hit and when I had to get up on the roof, but I kind of just came up here because I was feeling kind of cold downstairs in the studio. I was like, I think I need that sunshine to warm me up.
Welcome to my world. It's always so cold in the studio.
Oh, yeah, I know. You have your blanket.
Yes.
I have my scarf that I use as a shawl because it's so cold. And when I have time, when like I don't have to be on air for a while, I just put on my sweats over the dress because it can get pretty cold down there. And I just run very cold in general.
No one will be complaining about being cold this week, though, outside. It's going to be another steamy one, but today is going to probably be the most comfortable for the next couple days, right?
Yeah, today of the next couple, then I think Thursday and Friday we get pretty good.
Okay.
It's Tuesday where that heat and humidity crank up, and then Wednesday is another warm one, though not quite as humid. So Tuesday is definitely the worst day. But, I mean, even then, yes, we do have that heat advisory, so you definitely want to be careful on Tuesday. But overall, it's a really quiet, sunny, warm week. So if you like summer weather, like this is the weather you've been waiting for.
And this weekend, I mean, Patrick was saying it all leading up to it, that this was going to be such a beautiful weekend because of the comfortable temperatures, no humidity whatsoever. It really, you do not get perfect Saturdays and Sundays very often, and this was certainly one of them.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely gorgeous. That humidity was so low, really in the 50s for a lot of the weekend, which is pretty rare in the summer. Normally, if we can stay in the low 60s, that's pretty good for humidity. Yeah. That's more where we're going to be this week for most of the time. So still nice, just not quite as gorgeous as this weekend. So I hope you enjoyed it, because especially this next weekend, not so much nice with the sunshine. That's probably going to be our next shower and storm chance.
The timing not so great with the rain coming on the weekend.
Yeah, it's not so great, but I mean, the rain has to come at some point, and we really haven't had it that much in July at all.
Looking at the flowers behind us and how beautiful they actually are real. At one point I had to check and see, are these actually real flowers? Because they're so beautiful and in bloom, but Mike Tamil, our director, and Jamie and all of those who come up here to water, they will be doing a lot of watering because we're not getting it from Mother Nature at all.
Yeah, I know we were tracking those showers and storms last week, but they were really isolated. Some of them were strong, but they were isolated a lot across the southern tier. Niagara County got some, but here in Buffalo, nothing. The entire month of July has been pretty dry. But thankfully, I was checking the drought monitor because I was like, oh, it's been kind of dry. Because we had such a wet spring, we're fine. We're actually one of the few areas in the country not dealing with drought conditions. We are good, not even abnormally dry. We are good to go. Excellent. And so I think this week isn't going to do too much damage with respect to that.
Okay, wonderful. I will head downstairs to get ready for the news as you take over the weather here. Lauren, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think let's just get right to those weather headlines. We do have, as Melissa and I were talking about, that heat is building this week, but we are going to have a lot of sunshine, and we're just kind of waiting for that rain. Like I said, we really haven't had a lot with respect to precipitation. This entire July, only 3 days recorded measurable precipitation, and you see those 3 days pretty paltry with respect to what those rain totals were. In total, the entire month, we have seen less than 1/10 of an inch of rain. We haven't seen anything measurable in over a week. And even the end of June was relatively dry, even though technically it was a pretty wet month. In fact, the last 4 months, March, April, May, and June, had been above average with respect to precipitation, and quite a bit so much so that spring, as we meteorologically keep track of it, from March, April, and May, was our third wettest spring on record here in Buffalo. But you see, June did very well with that rainfall. Not so much the case, though, for July and for the next several days. I kind of show you a very broad brush idea of the measurable precipitation we are expecting through Friday, and you see, really not much, less than 1/10 of an inch for some of us. Most of us are just going to stay bone dry. And you take a look at that live radar and satellite picture, and that is pretty much what it is. Any kind of showers and storms that seem to be developing really dissipate before they get to our area and don't really fire up until they are out of western New York. So we are quiet here. High pressure is dominating us. There's quite a ridge of high pressure off to our west. And then there's that low with that stationary front bringing those showers and storms and even some flash flood warnings across the southeast, but not so much for our area. It's really about that heat building because of that ridge of high pressure. There are extreme heat warnings and heat advisories out off to our north and west. We don't have those today, but if I advance the clock to those watches and warnings for tomorrow, we do have that heat advisory for Western New York. So Tuesday is definitely kind of our day to watch. Today, we're looking at highs getting into those mid 80s, but Tuesday and Wednesday, we're looking at the upper 80s, and then we start to moderate by the end of the week. But I really want to point out Tuesday because of that additional humidity. Once we start to see those dew points getting into the 70s, that's when it gets really sticky and uncomfortable. We're looking at feels like temperatures at some points getting into the mid, even upper 90s. So today, get out there and enjoy it. It's a really gorgeous day. We have all of that sunshine with those highs in the mid 80s. By the time we get to tomorrow, though, those winds are going to be kicking up more out of the southwest. That's going to help those dew points really start to increase, as well as those temperatures. And then those feels like temperatures, like I mentioned, getting into those 90s, even the mid 90s for some of us. So Tuesday, a very warm day. Wednesday is also going to be a warm one, but our winds are going to shift enough to help that dew point decrease. And then Thursday, those temperatures are finally starting to trend at least a little bit downward. But if you're looking for any kind of relief, if you don't necessarily love those warmer temperatures, you really have to look at that 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. And even then, it doesn't really look like we're going to be seeing below average temperatures, probably just closer to average for our area. So if you like that summer heat, congratulations. This week is absolutely for you, with temperatures holding in the 80s across the board with a lot of sunshine. Definitely you want to keep Tuesday in mind as that day. You want to take it a little bit easy outside. Make sure you stay hydrated. Wednesday is another warm one, but then that humidity does come down to some more comfortable levels. We stay sunny and dry through the work week with those spotty showers and storms finally returning, unfortunately, though, by the weekend. So that is a look at your forecast. I'm going to send it back to you in the studio, Melissa.
All right, very good, Lauren. Thank you. Topping the news this morning, a couple in Batavia is recovering after a serious motorcycle crash. It happened sometime yesterday evening on Park Road. Investigators say a husband and a wife were riding a three-wheeled motorcycle traveling eastbound when another car turned in front of it. The crash threw them from the motorcycle. Both were wearing helmets, but still they were hurt. We don't know how serious, but one of those motorcycle riders had to be flown to the hospital by Mercy Flight. The other one was taken by ambulance. The driver of the car is expected to be cited for driving with a suspended license. The crash remains under investigation. And we now know the identity of a motorcycle rider who was killed in a crash in the town of Oakfield last week. Genesee County Sheriff's deputies have identified him as 52-year-old James Emery. The crash happened on Batavia Oakfield Town Line Road Wednesday night. The sheriff's office says Emery was riding the motorcycle when it collided with a car. Emery died at the scene. The driver and the passenger in the other vehicle were not injured. Investigators are asking anyone who may have witnessed the crash or may have video of it to contact the sheriff's office at the number on your screen. Well, we are trying to get more information about a shots fired call right near Chippewa. This was a scene around 2 o'clock Sunday morning. Those gunshots were actually heard here from our newsroom here at Channel 2. Police believe the shots were actually fired from a parking lot on Franklin Street between Tupper and West Chippewa. We saw at least a dozen officers, an ambulance leaving the area, and a gun lying on the ground. We have reached out to Buffalo Police for more information, and we're still waiting to hear back. In the case of former strip club owner Peter Gerace is set to be back in court today. Today's appearance is being described as an attorney appointment hearing in his federal witness tampering case, in which he's accused of conspiring with 5 other men to kill a witness who was supposed to testify during his drug and sex trafficking trial. Gerace was sentenced in May to 25 years in prison after being convicted on those federal drugs and sex trafficking charges. In Toronto, a weekend meant for celebration ended with deadly violence at Canada's largest Latin street festival. Toronto police say 2 people are dead and at least 4 others are hurt following a shooting Saturday night. And this morning, police are still searching for the people responsible. At least 13,000 people were attending that festival when the shooting happened. Toronto police initially described it as an active shooter situation as a precaution, with officers running to the scene and dispersing people from the area. Festival goers say they couldn't initially hear the shots because thousands of people were enjoying live music and dancing. Here's what the mayor of Toronto had to say.
I'm deeply disturbed and angry about this reckless, irresponsible act of violence. And right in the middle of a festival attended by families, children, seniors.
Right now, details are limited, but police say 2 people were targeting each other during that exchange of gunfire. No suspects have been arrested as of right now. Also, right now, a couple's without a home because of fast-moving garage fire that happened in the town of Pendleton. Crews were called to Tonawanda Creek Road yesterday just before 3:30 in the afternoon. And when they got there, the garage was fully engulfed in flames, and the flames had already started to spread to the home. We're told 2 people were inside, but they were able to get out safely. One fire official believes the home is a total loss.
It's difficult because it's an older home and there's multiple additions on it, so there are lots of voided spaces in it. Also, all the ceiling is tongue and groove, which makes it very difficult to try to chase a fire to pull that down. Brought in multiple fire companies to assist with manpower due to the extreme heat.
Investigators say they believe 2 cats died in the fire. The cause remains under investigation. We're working to learn more about a multi-vehicle crash on Route 5 near the Skyway. This was the scene from one of our photographers yesterday afternoon. It appears several cars were damaged in that crash. We do know that EMS and fire crews and Buffalo police all responded. NYTEC says the scene was cleared around 5 o'clock yesterday. And we're also working to figure out why yellow police tape was put up around this Wing Nuts takeout location in an apartment building on North Street in Buffalo just before midnight on Saturday. It's just east of Symphony Circle. We did see investigators at the scene near the parking lot taking photos and marking out evidence. It's not clear what happened, but again, we have reached out to city officials for more information. The Cheektowaga man is heading to federal prison after admitting to pointing a laser at a flying plane near the Buffalo airport. 31-year-old Joseph Crapsey has been sentenced to 18 months in prison after pleading guilty last December. Investigators say he shined a green laser at a Delta flight that was trying to land on March 2nd, 2024. Authorities say he was standing near his home, which sits in the airport's flight path. 9:12 now on Daybreak, and tributes continue to pour in from the Capitol and around the world for Senator Lindsey Graham, who died late Saturday night after a trip to Ukraine. The longtime supporter of Ukraine was known for traveling to global trouble spots while never forgetting his home state of South Carolina. NBC's Alice Barr has more from Washington.
This morning, colleagues on both sides of the aisle are honoring the life and legacy of South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who built his influence on bipartisan relationships and on 30 years of experience in the halls of Congress.
He started public service because he wanted to make sure that no one felt invisible.
No better friend, no tougher adversary.
On Saturday night, emergency responders rushed to the 71-year-old's Capitol Hill home.
EMS 6 responded to Engine 7 Medic 7 with cardiac arrest.
His office saying the preliminary medical examiner's report cited a tear in the main artery from the heart due to cardiovascular disease. President Trump said he spoke to the senator the night before he died. Initially a vocal Trump skeptic, Graham became one of the president's fiercest allies and a forceful advocate for his agenda.
The friendship grew. It just grew. And he was an amazing advocate.
Senator Graham had just returned from a trip to Kyiv, where he met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and announced a breakthrough in White House backing for a bipartisan Russia sanctions bill.
I've never been more optimistic than I am today that we have the formula to end this war.
Also a staunch supporter of Israel, Graham was a longtime foreign policy hawk, advocating an aggressive approach to adversaries. He served in the Air Force and as a military lawyer. His death now leaving a hole in the Senate and prompting questions about who will replace him. He was running for a 5th term in South Carolina, the state now preparing instead for a snap primary, with the governor to name a temporary replacement through the end of the year. Senate Republicans are already missing the vote of Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell, who was hospitalized nearly a month ago. After weeks of speculation, his office released a photo and statement with McConnell saying he did not suffer a heart attack or stroke, but that he fell, was briefly unconscious, and is now continuing his recovery in a rehab facility. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And stay with us. We'll take a quick break. We'll have much more coming up. Welcome back. This is a live look at Salem Field right here, where the Bisons wrapped up their 6-game homestand yesterday against the Scranton Rail Riders. Late game heroics from the Bisons forced extra innings, but unfortunately they ended up losing after 10 innings. 8-7 was the final yesterday. The Bisons will get a little bit of an extended break as they head in the All-Star break, and then the team's going to be hitting the road again for a 3-game stretch against Syracuse Mets beginning on Friday. But I was just saying to Lauren, on Saturday it was a doubleheader, which fans were lucky to buy one ticket, get 2 games on Saturday because it was the Thursday night game was postponed because of those storms, which I don't think actually hit the city of Buffalo. The skies just looked really, really ominous, right?
So Thursday, the official precipitation measurement was a trace. Okay. So that means there was some rain, but not enough to even measure 1/100th of an inch. So, and there could have been lightning close by.
Sure.
So that's likely why they did cancel it. And that's smart, just because you don't want to risk it, because those storms that were just to our north around that passed through Niagara Falls and portions of Niagara and Orleans counties, those did have severe thunderstorm warnings. They had some pretty strong wind damage.
They packed a punch.
Yeah, some trees were knocked down. I think we had knocked down power lines, some isolated power outages. So I understand why they would do that. And, Saturday was a gorgeous day.
Oh my gosh.
To be outside and enjoy some baseball.
For 2 games on Saturday and then another one yesterday. It was really perfect baseball weather. Awesome.
Yeah, and I think one of those games, I'm not going to be great because my sports knowledge is not fantastic, but I think Max
Scherzer.
Yes, he was the starting pitcher, and I think one of them.
Yes, you're right. And he is a 3-time Cy Young pitcher from the Blue Jays and recovering. Didn't really have a great game, but it's really fun for Bisons fans to see MLB players who are here, just like during COVID when the Toronto Blue Jays couldn't keep playing in Canada because the players couldn't cross over the border. So the Blue Jays played all of their games here in Buffalo.
Wow.
And so then you got the Yankees and the Red Sox and all the other teams playing them here in the Bison Stadium at Salem Field. So it was a really cool experience to see MLB players here. And so when somebody like Max Scherzer is rehabbing and playing here too, it's a lot of fun for the Bisons fans.
Even when he's still, kind of getting his, sea legs together, as it will. I mean, it's still so fun to see someone who and are so excited to watch pitch.
And even not knowing a lot of people, just spending time out at a baseball game on a beautiful Saturday or Sunday or even a matinee during the week. It doesn't get better than that.
Absolutely.
All right, now something that a lot of people are watching. How about hundreds of millions of worldwide fans are watching the World Cup as it's nearing the end. The semifinal matches begin tomorrow. So we are down from 48 teams down to the final 4. The first match will feature European powerhouses in France and Spain tomorrow in Dallas. And then the second features the defending champs in Argentina against England, who haven't lifted the trophy in 60 years. That's going to be in Atlanta on Wednesday, and then the winners will go on to the final on Sunday in New Jersey, while the losers will face off for 3rd place in Miami on Saturday. And all of these places, Lauren, checking weather-wise between Atlanta, Miami, and then New Jersey, all throughout the entire World Cup, we've seen such hot weather for so many of the games.
Yeah, we've had a lot of heat building, especially out west right now. But of course, we had those really warm temperatures. I think, Central Park recorded 100-degree temperatures around that time that the World Cup was still, I think, in the group stage. So there were just games in all of the stadiums. So definitely a lot of heat. I was looking, Dallas right now, I think has a flash flood warning around its area. That's where that stationary front that we were looking at just off to our south. So they could be seeing some showers and storms, maybe even some isolated severe or flooding. So something to kind of watch for that game. Atlanta might also be in on that. I wasn't looking at that as much. Hopefully things will clear out by the time of that game. But I think for the city, it's just going to be, we're still too far out. I don't want to speak about the New Jersey game. I think that could hopefully be okay. In Miami, I think it's a safe bet to say Miami is going to be warm
Yeah.
for whoever's playing in Miami. But I mean, really exciting. I love the World Cup. I don't get too into sports, but I do think it's really exciting. It's an exciting time. I have a former coworker who's like a proud Argentinian, so she is very big on Argentina repeating, which I think there hasn't been a repeat since, you said, I think the 60s?
Right.
So that would be pretty impressive if they were to repeat. I mean, France is going for their third World Cup.
I know, such powerhouse teams and no real surprises in the Final Four.
Right, I think it was like the 4 teams that were like expected to make it kind of did make it. Obviously, England hasn't won in so long, but that's kind of the team that I like. I feel like no one really wants to root for England, but they're just kind of the team that I latched onto, in part because a couple years ago when the World Cup, I think it was in Brazil, like my dad got really into soccer for the first time, and he was like looking up like who the stars of each team was. So like Mbappe was like huge on France, and he looked up who England's was, and it was Harry Kane, and he decided he didn't like Harry Kane. So then, to be a bit of a contrarian, I was like, well, that's my favorite soccer player.
I love Harry Kane and I love England. So
yeah, he's the captain of the English team. So I'm all in on England.
Okay.
But they're gonna have to beat Argentina, which is
and Lionel Messi, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he's a big star.
Yeah.
So I was kind of rooting for Switzerland when they were playing on Saturday, but in extra time.
Sure. I mean, we've been lucky enough to have Nick Mendola, who is the co-founder of FC Buffalo, lives right here in Western New York, and he is the NBC Sports soccer reporter. He will be covering the finals, and we'll be sure to talk to Nick this week to find out what he thinks and what his predictions are leading up to the finals and what it's been like for him to cover the World Cup for a national and international audience, and being a local guy who loves soccer and is such a proponent of bringing a professional team here to Buffalo. So we'll check in with Nick throughout the week, but we will be right back. We'll have much more coming up right after this. The film community and Jurassic Park fans are mourning the loss of this gentleman here, Sam Neill. Passed away at the age of 78. Best known for his role as Dr. Alan Grant in Jurassic Park. His family made a post on social media saying, quote, Sam was surrounded by family and passed with the dignity that has characterized his whole life. The loss was sudden and unexpected, but blessed by the fact that Sam remained cancer-free, end quote. Neill had announced that he was cancer-free in April after 5 years of undergoing treatment for blood cancer. But a movie that so many of us grew up watching in the 90s, and I can't think of what else Sam Neill would have done other than that, just a starring role in that movie that everyone will always remember him for.
I know, I mean, Jurassic Park was probably the first, like, quote-unquote scary movie I was ever shown as a kid. And I mean, I obviously immediately loved it, first, kind of identifying with the kids, and now just more as an adult, it's been kind of a part of my life. I actually was in a musical parody of Jurassic Park.
Okay, let's talk more about this.
But I played Jeff Goldblum's character.
Come on.
So I had to, play him, and they just wanted a straight up Jeff Goldblum impression the entire time. So I was.
Do we get any of that right now, Lauren?
You do not get that
okay,
right now.
It's got to be on the internet somewhere. We will find.
I don't think it is.
Oh no.
Yeah, so that was kind of my connection to Jurassic Park, just like watching it so much, specifically for Jeff Goldblum. But I mean, obviously Sam Neill was such a big part of that, and just his whole character's, arc with the kids was really, meant so much to so many people.
Sure. Yeah, what a loss. And I still want to hear more about your musical parody of it.
No, you definitely don't.
All right. Speaking of theater, though, Lauren's a huge theater fan, and I am too. And the Slow Roll is going to be celebrating the theater district. Each week, Slow Roll picks a different part of Buffalo to ride through. And tonight, they'll be starting at Shays. Slow Roll is going to be hosting their 10-mile ride starting at Shays tonight. Then it'll make stops along other theaters to highlight them and check them out. And then the night ends with a patio party at Shays 710, featuring food and drinks and live music and more. So again, if you do see those bicyclists, though, especially in downtown Buffalo, wait for them, be patient for them, and be very careful. That's usually one of the issues when you've got hundreds of bike riders all trying to pass along the same way. It kind of holds up traffic a little bit, but it's always fun, and what a great night for a bike ride tonight,
Oh,
Lauren.
yeah, absolutely gorgeous. A little bit on the mild side, so definitely want to have that water to make sure you're staying hydrated in the heat, but it's going to be really nice weather-wise most of the week, honestly.
Yeah, and I know you love theater, and you wait until September when it's Curtain Up is the big party out on Main Street, and it celebrates the start of theater season, not just at Shea's, but all of the local theaters in town. And so they all get together and have outside street performances. Everyone gets dressed to the nines for Curtain Up to celebrate the start of theater season. You're going to be in your glory.
Oh, that's really
This is
exciting.
your first one to really celebrate.
I've been really excited for Shea's specifically because they announced Death Becomes Her is coming in February,
and they're
announcing their cast this week. So I'm really excited. The 15th, they're doing it.
Okay, awesome. Well, you'll have to give us an update once you hear about who the cast is. Lots to celebrate there for sure. So enjoy Bike Riders with the Slow Roll tonight to celebrate theater here. Lauren, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everybody.